Alright, hello, so today's going to be a VOD review day. So I'm going over this game where I lost, and this was like in between losing a lot this stream. A lot of the times when I'm playing, I end up losing a lot because like it shows here that I have like a 2 and a 2, so it looks like I'm doing like pretty good, right? But I had just gone 8th the game right before. And the reason I went 8th that game, I didn't want to VOD review that game because that game was kind of like a shit show. So like I kind of messed up my items early, and it wasn't really a good learning experience because I just kind of gambited, right? So I had bad items, and I could have maybe tried to force out like a 4th or a 5th, but there was a lot of people that were really strong, so it felt like I was playing for 4th or 5th. So I just took Recon Bob and I died, right? And you know, I could have probably gone 4th or 5th, and you know, I think the crux of that learning lesson is don't take Recon Bob, right? It's like very risky, but I went for it because it looked like my max placement was like 4th or 5th, and I just wanted to like try it out because I was the second put me like right above Diamond 2, so I was like, you know, if I get 4th or 5th, I'm gonna be 0 LP, so I might as well just go for a gambit because I'm gonna be 0 LP no matter what, right? That was my thought process that game. I'm VOD reviewing this game because I came out of a loss, and in general, so like I try and default towards like challengers, Azir, Noxus, like there are a couple flex comps where there's multiple different types of carries. Like with Noxus, if you have a Samira early, you can have Samira and Cassio carry into like a Mordekaiser carry. For challengers, you can have Fiora or Kai'Sa be your carry. And with strategists, you can have Azir, you can have Silco, you can put in Noxus. It's very flexible. So those are like the 3 comps I kind of think about. I'm not going to like write it out with the pen this time around, but you know, keep that in mind, right? That's kind of where my thought process goes. Not to force the comps, but more so just to like, it's always good to have a game plan going in, right? Having a plan is better than having no plan. And that's why I'm picking Ornn, right? Because Ornn, I like Ornn. I think Ornn might not be as good as I thought it was after playing a lot of games, right? It felt very strong early this patch, but now that like everybody's like, it was strong when not everybody was going Earth, or when the Earth players miss. But when the Earth players hit, and there's a lot of people playing Earth, it's really hard to top 4 sometimes. It's like consistent at like being mid pack. You're very consistent at getting like at best 3rd with the Ornn. And then it's like the Earth players that hit take the 1, 2, 3 spot, and the Earth players that don't hit take like the 4, 5, 6 spot, right? Anyways, so I look at these 2 items. I took Manazine. I think I'm higher valuing Manazine because it's just really good a lot of the time. I don't think Manazine's that good anymore. I end up looking at stats a little bit later in this game as well as after the game. I think Infinity Force, that was my other option, was a lot better. Because it's a little bit easier to fit it in on a flex comp because it can work really well as on a frontline unit as well. I took Manazine, and then if you notice, this was the first mistake I made. It's just like a matter of like thinking about too many things at once, and messing up early game like this really sets the pace of the game in an awkward way a lot of the time, right? Because I made a Manazine, but then I also slammed a Shojin. So this is just a huge mistake, and it's very obvious, right? Like, you don't need to be really high elo to see. Like, I made 2 mana items, I put 2 mana items on the same guy. It's quite bad. It's not like the greatest thing, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, it's not like FF surrender, I'm going 8th. But it puts me, it removes a lot of my edge in a game where there's a lot of randomness. The reason I slammed this Shojin was pretty much by accident. I was thinking in my head, I have Shojin and I have, what's it called? This is just me checking stats mid-game about Manazine at this point because I was just curious about it. I saw my items and I had a bow, and I was thinking, okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to make Shiv and I'm going to make Shojin. I can make Shiv, I can make Shojin, I can make Giant Slayer. Those are all Kai'Sa items. So then I took Manazine. I said, oh, that's a Kai'Sa item. And then instead of slamming Shiv, which, you know, Shiv gives shred, so with the Manazine it's okay, I was like, oh, I can make items towards Kai'Sa. I can make Shiv or Giant Slayer or whatever. And I just slammed this one. And then as soon as I slammed, I was like, wait, that's a Shojin, right? It's just like a brain fart moment where I just like combined 2 items that I didn't think. I think I wanted to make a Giant Slayer because Giant Slayer would have been really early and really flexible. And Giant Slayer I could put on like Silco, I could put on Azir, I could put on Kai'Sa. And then because I already have Manazine, she's going to be casting a lot, so I just want like a bunch of damage to kill like frontline units. But yeah, I just messed up really badly with that one. But we're going to continue from that, and we're going to look at the rest of the VOD. But that's like the first thing. This is probably the thing that sets off the rest of a lot of times, like especially with me, if I mess up really early, it doesn't like tilt me, but it kind of makes me feel like the feeling of being behind in TFT always makes you feel like, okay, well now I have to like compensate for it. But you can't really compensate for anything, right? It's not like if I roll more, I'm going to get better units, or it's not like if I make better items later, the bad items gonna magically disappear. It's like it's very hard to get like bailed out. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ, that's a bell. Sorry, YouTube ads. It'll be done in a second. So anyways, what do I take here? I take tank item. I wanted these for like this could turn into a bloodthirster for Fiora if I end up going challengers. I also have a Titans for a Fiora if I'm going challengers. But it's also solid gargoyles, which I can just shove on somebody, right? If I just slam a gargoyle on this or this, it gives me some frontline. The reason I'm trying to stay healthy, I'm trying to preserve a streak. And I'm playing Bilgewater early. I might stay with Bilgewater. We don't know. I don't know for sure. But Bilgewater is another flex board. It's just a little bit awkward because of like bows and playing around Nyla. So I'm thinking like maybe I can just play like MF Nyla dual carry and play Bilgewater if I end up hitting. That's why I'm holding these Nautiluses as well. I'm holding a lot on my bench, which I could sell everything and earn a little bit more interest. But that 1 gold versus a Nautilus 2, I think isn't worth it, especially given my spot. And if I can hit 5 Bilgewater. Bilgewater is really good early because most of the units, if you look at them, they have like max 1,000 health early, right? These 1 costs, unless they're like double upgraded and like everybody's like giga strong, a lot of the time, like the Bilgewater trait, it drops like 100 damage just off Ripsy. I'm actually pointing it out in my stream because I'm talking about it. You know, same mind, same person. That's me in the corner, me in the spotlight. If you get that, you get that. But what's it called? It chunks them down, right? Because it falls off later. Like 3 Bilgewater is kind of useless, and then 5 Bilgewater is kind of like eh. But then 7 Bilgewater becomes really good again because it's just like it's literally just like removing so much health. So early game, a lot of boards just lose to having the 3 Bilgewater trade in as long as you have a couple upgrades, and that's why it's like really strong to play early, or especially during stage 2. This guy has Trade Sector, a Jarvan, and Demacia 5, so I'm gonna lose my streak here. But it's kind of insane that this exists. I also have Jinx 2 in shop, and I could have played towards a Gunner angle because I have a Graves. It's just I really don't like Gunners. I feel like without a Gunner +1, you fall off late game, so I don't like to invest. When you buy 2-cost units, you lose money, right? It's different from when you buy 1-cost units. They sell for the same amount that you invested in them, so it's like, you know, it's really easy to like buy a bunch of 1-cost and then pivot your board later and not lose too much money in doing so. I also don't have Jinx items, so yeah, that's my thought process there. Cassio, do I end up buying Cassio? Like, these items on Cassio might be really good, so I wouldn't be surprised if I bought Cassio here and just tried to pivot towards something else. But if I'm looking at the lobby, and there's a bunch of Earth players, we have Bruisers, 2 Bruisers playing, like contesting each other on a reroll, which is kind of whack. And then there's an Invoker player, and I think there was another Invoker player, unless that's the same one. And then this guy already has a Fiora, which makes the Challenger line very awkward, right? It's not the one where, it's not the Caitlyn one where he gets the 4 cost. So we have a guy that on level 5 hit Jarvan, another guy that on level 5 hit Fiora. And I'm sitting here level 4, way behind tempo now because there's so many people that are strong. And I'm not like, I don't have a streak and I don't have a lot of gold. This is a thing from Blitz that I sometimes, if it works, I look at it. As you can see, I'm lower than the lobby on level, lower than the lobby on board value, and lower than the lobby on interest. So I'm losing the lobby in everything, and my health isn't even that much better than the lobby. All these people, we all have the same health, right? 84 versus 86, who gives a shit? So I'm very behind at this point. Now, slamming the Shojin, is that the main reason I'm behind? Not really, because I got kind of unlucky with matchmaking. I ran into the Demacia guy that kind of fucked me. And then this guy's also going Demacia. So for what I'm looking at, it's like there's a lot of people strong, there's a lot of people contesting each other. I think that's what I was thinking during the game. So I was saying like I need to just roll down early and just like get strong, and those guys hopefully don't hit is like kind of my vibe going into this. I'm not slamming any items because I'm not sure of my direction, and I'm kind of waiting for something else, right? A Giant Slayer would have been great. And now what we do is we hit the Prismatic. So Harm Assist is pretty good to give Omnivamp if I don't already have Omnivamp, but it's not like the best one. Social Distancing, I take it a lot, but I don't think it's that strong. Large Forge is like two really good items, but what I'm looking at is that I already have a bunch of items, and it's Shurima, the Shurima Galaxy, right? I can get unlucky with my Artifact Anvil, which is why I don't want to take it. And then we come down to this. So I roll and I hit Blinding Speed. So it was Jewel Lotus 3 or Blinding Speed. I took Blinding Speed because there's already a guy playing towards Challenger. There's two guys playing towards Demacia. At least that's I remember that. I didn't properly scout because I wasn't paying attention during this VOD review, which I should be. I'm pretty sure there's two people playing towards Demacia. There's two people playing Bruisers, which hopefully they roll early, and then I can try and hit the Nyla because they might go for Nyla. This Bruiser guy isn't going for Nyla, and I'm cementing in that I'm playing towards Nyla, right? So I get an RFC and a Jinsu, and I was thinking RFC Jinsu as well as +1 item, and I can put those on Nyla, and then I can leave these items on MF and just have like MF casting because she shreds armor, or she has like an ability that shreds armor and stuff. And I'm gonna play towards 7 Bilgewater. 7 Bilgewater is hard without a spat because you need a Gangplank. So I'm probably gonna play 5 Bilgewater, try and stabilize around that. And then into 7 at 8, right? That's like my rough plan. The problem is, I think I get a bit bamboozled here. So Jinsu isn't the greatest item on Nyla. Usually you want RFC plus RFC plus Giant Slayer slash BT Bloodthirster slash DB, right? It's usually one of these three. Because she RFC interaction with her passive, she gets a bunch of attack speed anyways, and you don't really need the Jinsu because it really falls off late game because you don't get the stacks. You really need to like be hitting for a lot more damage. So usually you want RFC so that she spreads the Bilgewater trait, right? This spreads the Bilgewater trait and works really well with her passive, which gives her like that extra attack speed and extra stat. And then you want Giant Slayer if there's lobbies where there's really big Giga tanks that you need to cut down, so you need the bonus damage. Bloodthirster if you have like a really strong front line, you just want her to sustain. Or Deathblade. Deathblade works really well if like there's a lot of units that you have to tear through that have like lower health. So like Deathblade was like Biss when multicasters were really broken, because with the double RFC you'd hit the back line and the Deathblade would do enough to kill those units because they had lower health a lot of the time, and you wouldn't get as much Giant Slayer value from mid to like in certain areas of the game, like mid game. Hopefully that explains stuff and that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, you can look at the stats too. I think they might have changed a little bit, but that's like my rough mindset. So I have a Giant Slayer on deck, so I'm thinking like, do I just accept that I don't do double RFC and instead I just put the Jinsu? I get an item. What did I grab? Wait, I think I fucked up my carousel pretty bad. So I went for, did I go for Kaisa? Oh, I went for Kaisa here. So what I should have done is I should have gone for a tank item, right? I should have gone for a tank item or like something else. Like I have a bunch of bows. I took this, which is an Archangels, which I think I was playing more towards like not thinking late game. But I think it messes up my items because I was thinking like, oh, I can just give an Archangels to this guy or give an Archangels to MF. But Archangels is really good because like it gives like, it's like half a mana item. Like it gives a little bit of mana plus the stacks, but it also requires you to have a really strong front line. So now I just have like weird items. Okay, so I hit a Mordekaiser natural in shop, so I'm switching the Azir off to play the Mordekaiser to try and like stabilize me until I hit a Nyla. And then I think this is my problem. I think I slam Edge of Night. Edge of Night is also okay on Nyla. I think this is my big problem. I should have made a Giant Slayer. I was keeping the 2 bows because I was thinking of making like double RFC. But if I have double RFC, I'm gonna have a leftover Jinsu, and let's say it's Bilgewater, right? Like, who do I put Jinsu's on, right? Or sorry, Jinsu Rageblade. There's nobody to put it on, right? And because there's nobody to put it on, I have to put this on Nyla. And I'm not going to make Jinsu RFC because I need some sort of damage item or else she's not going to scale into late game. So me making this Edge of Night and playing towards this Mordekaiser is just another like brain moment where I'm not thinking about late game, right? I'm thinking like what makes me strong right now in this very moment instead of what scales me into late game. Because the problem is I'm not like strong right now, and I think I just felt really pressured to like try and preserve HP, but that's my big mistake. A lot of times like you have items and it's not a matter of like getting the BIS items or greeting the items on bench. A lot of the times it's like whatever items you have, like I took this for RFC, like to guarantee me an RFC, and I ended up naturally just hitting a bunch of bows to get an RFC anyways, right? I shouldn't get bamboozled and think BIS is RFC plus something else. Instead I should be thinking about this thing, right? Because Edge of Night also gives attack speed, right? So it's not good to put like RFC Jinsu, like these items are okay on Mordekaiser, but that's because Mordekaiser, you usually put the attack speed items on him because he gains all his stats through his through his ult, right? Mordekaiser ult plus Noxus trait, right? That's why if you look at the stats, a lot of times you want attack speed and you want RFC, and sometimes Jinsu is okay and Edge of Night is really good because you want him to have a bunch of attack speed because he gains all the other stats through the Noxus trait. That's why it's really good on Mordekaiser in particular. If I'm thinking towards Nyla, which is what my board is, because I don't have like a Noxus board to play Noxus items, then these items are really bad on Nyla. Or the items aren't bad on Nyla, it's that I can make good items for Nyla, but then I'm left over with a bunch of shit that I don't have somebody to put it on. Right? I also have only one tank item and it's on an Alawi, which is kind of lame. But the good thing is if I'm playing Bilgewater and I hit a Gangplank, I can split my mana items between MF and Gangplank because Gangplank as well wants mana items, so it's good to have like two separate mana items. Like I could put Manazine on one guy and the other thing on the other guy. So here I'm rolling early. I'm just rolling early because I want to make sure that I beat the bruisers to the punchline. I skipped a little bit. I think when I scouted, one of the bruisers got like really lucky and high rolled and is pushing levels like on tempo with me almost, right? So that's why I'm rolling early, because if he ends up finding a Nyla, he'll play the Nylas, and I'm trying to guarantee that I hit at least one Nyla so I can stabilize. So I end up hitting the Nyla. I sell, I put in 5 Bilgewater, 2 Strategists, and then on top of like making a Jinsu, I accidentally slammed my Jinsu. Instead of, I made an RFC and then I accidentally slammed a Jinsu on the unit. So then I had to commit my Magnetic Remover. Committing the Magnetic Remover is bad because I want to save this to remove the items off the MF. Now, you're looking at this and you're thinking like, why are you VOD reviewing this? What are these mistakes? I'm just showing you like, you know what the point of this story is? You shouldn't play when you're tired, right? I haven't been feeling good this last couple weeks because I'm just super busy with other stuff. I have a lot of other things that I'm not like related to the game that are like, like I'm trying to release a game, which I've talked about on the stream a lot. And that's supposed to be coming out really soon. So I've just been stressed with like outside of like game related, outside of like TFT related things, right? And I'm just like, I'm trying to force myself to play a lot because I'm trying to like rank up as well as like have this YouTube channel with daily uploads. And this is like the crux of it, right? I think like there's a lot of games in the last couple of weeks. Like one I queued into a normal, one I just messed up items on my Ravenous Hunter. This game I messed up. A lot of other games I messed up too. I think if I was more well rested, I could think through these things because they're very like, these are very like, I don't want to be like rude or anything, but they're like more like mistakes you see in like gold or plat. Like these were mistakes I was making in those areas. Not to be but if you're a gold or plat player, these are ways you can improve, right? And that's the point of the VOD review. So anyways, I took Jewel Gauntlets because the last augment was silver, and I didn't really have any better choices. Here I have really good, I ended up stabilizing my items to have really good Azir items, and I'm playing like Strategist Bilgewater. But the problem is, I have 30 gold, I'm level 7, so I don't have a chance of going 8, which means I probably won't hit 7 Bilgewater because I need to luck out and hit a Gangplank. I have MF1, Nyla 1, Azir 1 as my carries. Right, I just didn't hit on my roll down, which is fine. That's why I'm saving some money because I want to like try and greed as much as possible to earn as much econ before I send it again. I think the problem is that I lost a lot of health with poor itemizations, and then I don't stabilize because I don't have like really good itemizations. This is the bruiser play I was talking about. He hit golden ticket on a reroll comp, so he just hit everything really early, and he's like 40 gold level 7, I think, or level 6. No, he's level 6, 40 gold, but he's like really above tempo, right? It's like 4-2, and because he's above tempo because he's contested bruisers, right? I think there's another guy with a Cho 3 with perfect items. But this guy hit like the Giga Augments. He cooked Pandora's, hit the reroll, and then I don't know what the fuck this is, but who cares? Because his game is set. And this was the guy that I was worried might contest me. So that's why I was rolling a bit more. That's why I was rolling earlier. I'm just trying to preserve HP. But I beat him, but not for long. And this is the other bruiser guy that has Casio 3. Look at the two of them. They both hit Casio 3. And it's only 4-3, right? It's not that far behind tempo. They both have Cho 3. And this guy pushed levels, and he has Casio 3, Milio 3, and this guy has Casio 3, and this guy's level 7, right? And this guy's about to hit level 7. Or he just hit level 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, he's level... I don't remember. It's like there's a lot of really strong people in the lobby, is basically what ended up happening in this game. So not only, like, my board doesn't look that bad, but because I'm 1-star everybody and my itemizations aren't that great, like this Azir, who cares? Also, my Jeweled Lotus is on the Azir instead of the Nyla. I think I mess up Jeweled Lotus a lot, but because I wasn't paying attention to it. You know Jeweled Lotus hits when you have like the little sparkles on the dude, right? But I'm like kind of winning a couple rounds here, but if you look at it, the whole lobby's relatively strong. A lot of people are relatively the same health, right? Like all these people, they're still like 2 or 3 lives each, right? They're all like 30-ish health. Me at 50, it's like I just play this guy and I'll lose all my HP. So I really need tank item. There's not really that great of a tank item here that you can see that just builds itself, right? There's a lot of magic damage, so making a Bramble isn't the greatest thing to make. And I'm also like relatively close to the end pick. I think I take this. I should take this. Yeah. The reason I take that is because it's Adaptive Helm. It's not the greatest tank item, but it's a tank item nonetheless. So we'll take it. And then I want a replacement for this Alawi, but I don't have a replacement. I can maybe put in the TF, but I really don't have any front line, so it's kind of awkward. So now I'm just itemizing this Alawi because I never really got like lucky in terms of finding like something else to put in for frontline. If I had like a Jarvan 2, maybe I would consider removing this dude, but with the Demacia players, it's like I'm probably not hitting the Jarvan either. We can skip a little bit. The crux of this game now is that I don't really like high roll. I really low roll the rest of the game, and everybody kind of high rolls it. But I put myself in such a bad spot, so hopefully I illustrated up until this point why I think my spot wasn't very great, right? A lot of it is like I messed up my itemizations here, so I had to play this Azir because I had nobody to put the Jinsus on. These items aren't necessarily the best. I should be putting more damage on this Nyla, as well as these items with the extra mana aren't that strong. And the thing is, messing up your itemizations isn't the worst thing in the world, but look at my augments. Item, and then plus crit. So I have an item build, right? If I don't have strong items on my units, I have nothing, right? Because that's all that I took augments for. It's not like I took augments to make Bilgewater strong, or I took Penetrate Shackle to make Demacia strong, and I'm just like shoving whatever items on it. It's like I made a situation where I gave myself all the options of items and I just botched it. Also, if you look at my front line is shit. Why is it shit? Because in messing up these itemizations, I also was stuck with like a bunch of extra shit that I couldn't make frontline items for, right? I had glove, belt, sword, rod. It's like, what do I make with those, right? I guess like I could have made a crown guard, which would have been at least something for frontline. But then I'm left over with like sword, and I'm left over with like an IE, which is like weird and hard to use, right? I should have like looked towards using some of these and making something that can use for frontline. As well as like there was the time that I picked up this Archangels on Carousel, and I pointed it out. I should have definitely taken a tank item. Usually you don't prioritize tank items on Carousel because you usually just make the tank items after you have your carry items because there's like a prioritization. But I didn't take good tank items. I don't have any utility items, right? I don't have shred. I don't have what's it called? I don't have shred. I don't have anti-heal, right? And I have all damage items that aren't even the best damage items on the units that I could have made better.
You forgot you're wearing them?
And all my augments are items. That's why I'm weak, right? And that's important to note. And that's like the learning lesson from this thing. If you're playing towards these item builds, it's a little bit harder because you really have to think about like it's a little bit harder than just like doing like a reroll or doing like another thing, and I have like a lot of brain rot, right? So I'm strong now because like a lot of people just didn't hit their boards yet, but they also have enough HP and they haven't gone all in. But I'll fall off really soon. I'm only 40 HP and everybody else is really strong. I'm just trying to coast, but the thing is, people are gonna hit, and I end up not hitting, and I put myself in a spot where me not hitting means I don't get top 4. If I made my items better, I think this is a easily like guaranteed top 4. But look, this guy, huge Demacia board. That guy, full challenger board. And Fiora is busted. Full bruiser board with Mordekaiser. The other guy has a bruiser board with Cassio 3 and Melio 3, right? And it's like, because I don't have the damage and the power to get through, and the anti-heal and the utility. And then look, what do I get on my drop? More damage item, right? I need to take this and make some sort of tank item, but it's like, I don't know what I'm gonna make. Anyways, I roll to 0 here, and I don't hit any Nylas, and I don't hit any, I hit 1 Azir, 0 Nylas, and I hit MF2, right? So I'm looking at my board, I swap in this guy for somebody, I think. I forget who I swapped it in for. Who did I swap it in for? Oh, I switched out this for this, yeah. I sell the MF, so I lose 1 strategist, and I put these items on Ahri, just because like I didn't have faith in MF right now, and I felt like I wanted to play like Ahri and then put MF instead of Twisted Fate, but I kind of just botched it. I think I'm just desperate now because I didn't hit the Nyla, right? I'm Azir paired and Nyla paired, and I think I'm uncontested on both if I recall correctly. I think somebody ends up taking a bunch of Azirs actually. Anyways, I just end up switching. I'm just switching around units. I put a Cassante in because it gives me Bastion. I'm hoping that it gives me a little bit more frontline. I'm kind of just experimenting because I don't think I beat anybody. Like I lost like twice to like people that were a lot weaker boards than me. And I'm trying desperately donkey rolling every turn to hit this Nyla 2. Because if I don't hit the Nyla 2, I think I'm just going 8th. Because there's nobody I can really beat. You see how it's like not even close? And I don't think like +1 strategist is really making the difference there, right? I play this late game kind of desperately, but it's because I'm just like, at this point it's just like, get me out, right? Because it's like everybody kind of hit. Like all of these people have like all 2-starred of all their 4 costs. Like look, this guy has 2-star all his 4 costs, but I think he went to level 8, so that's a little bit more reasonable. But a lot of people hit like on level 7 that allowed them to go 8, and because I didn't hit on 7, I could never go 8 this round, and I was never able to hit 5 Bilgewater. And remember what I said with 5 Bilgewater? It's kind of strong mid game, but it falls off really hard, and you need 7 Bilgewater if you're playing a Bilgewater board. So I didn't hit my Gangplank. I just hit Nyla 2 this turn, but I'm 1 HP now, so it's not gonna help me. I'm Jarvan 1. I have this Cassante in just because I'm trying to put something for frontline to give my Nyla and my Azir some chances to stack up, right? And then I have this useless Azir as well, because he's kind of not really doing anything. And like, you know, the Cassante helps out, like it gives Bastion and Shurima, and I'm trying to like make a board out of something. Also, my Jewel Gauntlet, my Jewel Lotus is on this guy, but I think I kind of knew that I was done. I don't think it matters if the Jewel Lotus was on this or this. I kind of came to terms with the fact that I was going to lose out this round, but I should have made sure that it was on my Nyla. That's just another note. So anyways, I think I go like 7th here. I just lose out. Everybody's just so strong. I can't beat any of them. I have no anti-heal. I have no nothing. I just lose. Yeah. But I think a lot of it came down to early game, right? I mentioned a lot. I talked a lot about how I messed up my itemizations. And because all my augments were item augments, it means that like you really can't do that. It puts you in a really bad spot. But there was a lot of small mistakes that just slowly kept compounding, which, like, you know, if you look at the board from like over here, it doesn't look that weak. It looks like, yeah, that's a board, right? It doesn't look like that bad, but just in terms of like how the rest of the lobby was hitting and the fact that like my prismatic was items, this was items, and jeweled lotus, and like these itemizations aren't the greatest, right? Like, imagine if out of all these items I could have easily made like a shiv, I could have made like I need an even shroud, right? There's lots of things that I need. I did get a bit unlucky with the roll down at the end, right? At the end of the match, but we don't want to focus on that, right? I think it's really hard to learn and improve at the game if you just focus on, I didn't hit Nyla 2 on my roll down, therefore I went 7th. It's like, yes, that's true, but I would have been like, you know, 20 more HP if I had a better board, and I might have even won some of these battles with Nyla 1 if I had a better itemizations like anti-heal and other utility. So that's really important. When you think about your items, you have to think about those things. I just slammed kind of stupidly. I was on autopilot, and this was a very bad game that was played by me. But I needed something to upload for today, and I was VOD reviewing this anyway, so just to see like what I did wrong. And yeah, hopefully if you struggle with these things, if you end up with a board like mine, and you're like, well, why did I lose? Hopefully like this thought process helps you to improve your gameplay and do really well. And also, I would also suggest like try to play TFT when your mind is clear, because these last couple of weeks I've just been dog shit at this stuff. Alright, bye bye.